Everything that you draw can be broken down into simpler shapes. In a portrait, the head is a shape, the eyes are shapes, the neck and the clothes are made of shapes. Artists like Pablo Picasso created extremely unique works of art by simply seeing the shapes within an object. To begin our portrait, we need a piece of paper and a pencil. I brought a spare, just in case I break one. You have the option of using objects to trace the shapes for your portrait. But don't forget that you can also draw the shapes. Just make sure you're focusing on shapes. So we want to make sure that our head is large enough for our portrait, that we still have room down here for our shoulders, and we have room around the head for the background. So don't make the head this big as the piece of paper, but also don't make it so small that you have trouble filling up the rest of the paper. I have a book. I figure a lot of people have books, so I'm gonna have a book for my shirt. So there's my shirt. That's the basic structure of my portrait. There's my shirt, there's my head. And then the details get smaller from there. I found this round thing and I thought that would be kind of cool to use for my sleeves of my shirt or my shoulders. 1 and 2. Remember that there really isn't a wrong answer. You know, you can use very strange shapes if you want to. That might make your portrait a little bit more interesting. So I don't have anything this shape, so I'm gonna go ahead and just draw the rectangle for my neck. And it's not totally a rectangle because my head is crooked, but that is still a shape. It's a quadrilateral because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. I was wearing my hat today. You saw it at the beginning of the video, and I found this piece of a set of watercolors in the art room. So I'm going to use that to represent the edge of my hat. You might have different details. You might have earrings on, and I don't. So let's see, there's my hat. I'm gonna go ahead and add my arms coming out of the sleeves. All right, that's starting to look like a person. I can see the shoulders with the arms and the body. Here's the neck and the head. We've got a hat now. I'm getting into the even smaller details. I'm still thinking of shapes. I'm gonna focus on what shapes they might be represented by. Since there's a lot of rectangles up here, I'm gonna use a rectangle for my eye. Cool. And then let's see my nose. I'm gonna make an oval. And I'm gonna match that oval with my ears, which are gonna be halves of ovals, because it's probably a good idea to mix the shapes up a little bit. We don't wanna have all round things down here and all square things up here, so try to mix it up. There's a rectangle and some circles. There's a rectangle and some ovals. So there's a mixture of round and straight edge shapes. Boom. And let's see, for my mouth, I'm just gonna draw a thin rectangle. Now I can keep going, adding more shapes and more shapes until I run out of time. So I'm gonna put a circle in the eye and another circle in the eye. And oh, I'm wearing my name badge around my neck. So that is a rectangle, and it is attached by 2 strings, which I think is gonna be really interesting because they're kind of like long rectangles, but the middle makes a triangle, which is kind of interesting. So you have a lot of choices for the background. Are you inside? Are you outside? Maybe the background isn't a place at all. I think I'm gonna put one of my color wheels in the background, and I think that should make it pretty unique, and it'll also make the background really colorful. Remember, you're gonna create a background that you choose for your artwork. I created this color wheel in the back. You might decide to put a real place with the sun and trees, or you might also decide to put a pattern or a design like I did. By making the stripes go all the way across these 3 shapes, it helps to bring those shapes together. We're gonna focus on choosing colors. Because I already know what colors the background needs to be, I'm gonna start with the background, and then I'm gonna make my decisions about the portrait based on how the background looks when it's complete. Whatever you choose to color with, remember, the neater you color it, the more successful your artwork is gonna look at the end. I like to outline my shapes before I color them in. Sometimes I even outline them 2 or 3 times to put a nice thick border around the edges of a shape, because I wanna be 100% sure that I'm not going to accidentally go out of the lines and create a mistake. If you need to turn your paper sideways to better reach an area that you're trying to color, make sure you do that. Coloring it neatly is the highest priority right now. So if you have to color upside down just because you can reach better, then that's exactly what you should do. So now the background is finished. I use the color wheel in my background. Your background might be a realistic place. It might be some other kind of design or pattern. Because my background already has a lot of colors in it, I'm gonna try really hard not to introduce too many new colors when I start coloring the actual portrait. I'm gonna try to use some of the colors I already have used once in the background and find places where they can be used again in the figure, and limit the new colors to just a few colors that I really need to put in there. A lot of colors in an artwork isn't always beneficial to the artwork, and a lot of times a limited palette works much better. So here's our finished portrait. You can see that I tried to include as few new colors as possible when I started doing the figure. I knew I was gonna have to come up with a skin color and an eye color, so I tried to use colors from the background for the shirt, and then I added a couple of matching stripes for the hat to kind of unify those 2 items. So one last detail I'm gonna add that I think might be kind of fun and interesting is on my name tag down here, there is a picture of me on my name tag. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be kind of funny to include a copy of the same portrait, but in like a miniature version. So there we go. We have a portrait made completely out of shapes with a color wheel background in this case. Remember, your background could be whatever you want it to be. And the entire portrait is colored in as neatly as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this activity, and I will see you next time. Bye.